Eagle 6 in the track.
Roger.
Viper 1 bombs away. One's going to climb high above 20. You're south.
Eagle 6 radar contact. Eagle 6 is visual.
And it goes left.
Welcome back to the DCS SITREP, where we discuss news and information about the world's premier combat flight simulator for the home PC, DCS World. I'm your host, Prickly Hedgehog, and I hope this week's video finds you well, wherever you're tuning in from. If you've been wondering where I was over the last few weekends and the absence of the SITREPs, well, I was busy properly remodeling the office for real this time. We've been chipping away at home remodeling upstairs, and the office was started, but then it was put aside for other more pressing projects and other demands that we needed to sort out, so it was sort of put on hold. You should, as the weeks progress, hear an improvement in the quality of the sound recordings, and I am aiming for some new content for the channel if time allows me, so stay tuned for more on that. Let's get back to DCS World, though, and take a little dive into things that have been going on with Eagle Dynamics' studio, third-party developers, and the DCS community in general. We'll start with the latest newsletter, which reminded us about the closing down of the autumn sale today. Actually, it's December 3rd. Hopefully this video will be out on time, so don't miss out on those fantastic deals, especially for bundled items like an aircraft and a map, or aircraft, map, and campaign, which you've been hoping to play but didn't want to buy them individually. Now with those savings, you can sort of bundle up and save quite a lot of money. Speaking of campaigns, I know that people like Baltic Dragon have been working very hard to eliminate bugs and introduce quality of life options for many of his campaigns, following some of the major changes we've had to the game in recent weeks. So there really are some good campaigns out there outside of Baltic Dragons, from various campaign makers, including, of course, Reflected Simulations too. So there's a lot going on in the DCS community with regards to that. Now, ED also announced that they have some refinement here for one of the Red 4 weapons, the KH-29. This is an interesting one. The changes came about as a result of a review of weapon development processes, the newsletter describes, and in this case, we will see more accurate modeling of the aerodynamic characteristics, which have been refined. They have also reworked the Seeker model to reflect restrictions on target acquisition. These will be based on range to target, gimbal angles, and angular target velocity. The KH-29, as a reminder, is an air-to-ground weapon. They've also added modeling of the guidance and stabilization systems, and we'll be able to see animation of fins, the Seeker movements, and to this end, the guidance system has been split into 3 phases, roughly as follows: an initial phase, an intermediate mode, and the terminal guidance phase for the weapon's destruction, hopefully, of the target. These phases are governed by different behaviors based on approach angle to target, constant G when the line of sight inclination to the horizon in the vertical plane is reached, and less than an 8-degree angle between the missile's axis and the target's direction occurs. ED stated that the next update will bring improvements to the KH-25 family of missiles. So good news there for those of you who fly a lot of Red 4 stuff and are looking for more realism in some of the deployed weapons or deployable weapons. Cool stuff.
Torch, if you're still up, he's over there about 300 for about 5 miles. Torch is searching. Torch is tallying.
Now, rounding out this week's newsletter was the mention of the Shadow Trophy, which is sponsored by VIRPIL and features DCS modules. I'll post a link in the description below for those interested in watching this tournament, which features helicopters and speed trials. And again, I'll put that link into the YouTube video, which is probably ongoing by the time, or if not finished by the time this video comes out. Now, last week, ED announced that they have been working on improvements to the FLIR IR textures for ships, ground crew, and other units. This work should more realistically represent IR signatures, taking into consideration a corresponding engine's location on a vehicle, say, exhaust systems, electronic devices, and other weapons. These items will have the ability to heat up and cool down based on operation time. They also described a realistic signature map for the DCS supercarrier deck crew, where the thickness of clothing and equipment like masks will influence the radiation of heat from the human body. Pretty cool stuff. It's a neat effect and one I'm looking forward to testing out in the game. If you've seen the 10% True interview with Phantom 2 Wizzo Starbaby, who described firing Mavericks at wooden structures designed to represent tanks, you'll get the idea of how this being represented properly in-game is important. He actually explained that they used basically wooden boxes that were heated with electric blankets to give the Phantom pilots something to find with the IR equipment. It's pretty crude, but very, very effective.
And Eagle 8 Blanco, that is firm. You can vector 245.
Now, a few weeks ago, while I was offline, there was a major patch to the open beta. These have now been included into the stable version of the game, so if you play the stable version only, there are some really cool goodies. One area that I wanted to focus on was maps, and in particular, the Sth Atlantic map, which is a personal favorite, and I know it's had a little bit of a mixed reception due to the size of it and the complexity that the team took on in terms of that project. But here are some really good things that I think you're going to enjoy. So there's a brand new surface mesh texture system which really makes the land pop, and it looks a lot more flowing, and hopefully you're looking at pictures here that reflect that. The mountains now look a lot more realistic due to this custom mesh. So this is a special thing that they did. So what you'll see when I was talking to the guys about this recently is that the mountains should look a lot less jagged, a lot more realistic. They've also done things like fleshed out the communications network across the map with new models, which includes destroyable assets. That means you can set up some missions, blow up some communications arrays, and do some other things there without having to necessarily add specific assets. They've actually added new gorse bushes with a more natural palette across the Falkland Islands, which is really cool. So they've adjusted the stand sizes at El Calafate, Puerto Natales, and Schroeder's. This will allow for the parking of the Hercules, which of course you can add that aircraft in. Hopefully we will hear more from Aircraft Simulations Company about the Hercules and where they're up to with that. But yeah, stay tuned for more information. They've replaced all the tree maps too to improve performance across the whole map with a higher degree of accuracy. They've added other local buildings to further enhance the blocks. Due to the high property demand in Rio Grande, the local government has erected more affordable housing, so you're going to see an expansion on some of these cities. Tres Puentes has received government funding and has also been developed further. There's a new high-power distribution system that they've been working on. That's been erected across the map to improve the power delivery for their customers. They've added some additional ground clutter for better immersion when traveling close to the ground, and they've added more smaller towns across the map. And new normal maps have been included for the Falklands Islands and further enhanced across the whole map. This is really exciting. Now, the RAZBAM guys, like I said, have been working on this map really hard, as well as some other projects that they're involved with as well. And it's really exciting to see them be able to introduce like this new technology, the mesh technology for the map, to bring you a better vision of what they always had for the map, which I think perhaps wasn't really fully available at the time of its original release, particularly due to the scale, which previously we hadn't seen in DCS maps. So I think there's more to come with this map. I suspect as the game evolves to accommodate the demands of massive maps like this, we're going to see better improvement, better technology that is able to support that, and customers looking for a more visually exciting and visually impressive experience when flying over these maps of this kind of nature, where there's a lot of mountains, where there's a lot of sparse population. You don't see all of these high detailed cities and things like that. You're going to see more realism from this kind of environment, which is exciting. So stay tuned, like I said, for more information as it comes to hand about this development, which I think is really cool. Now, while we're on the subject of maps, I neglected in the busyness of life and other time constraints to highlight the work that's been done on the Kola Peninsula by Orbx. Many of you will be familiar with that name as one of the leading content producers for maps and other franchises. It's a great opportunity to have them come on board and do some really cool work with DCS World. So these screenshots that you're looking at are from about a month ago, and they illustrate the work that's been going on in this new map with some really interesting features I think you're going to enjoy. It will set up some very cool scenarios for future campaigns and mission sets. And I know, and many of you will be aware, that Baltic Dragon and Reflected Simulations have teamed up, and they are working on a campaign that's going to accompany this map at some point, and that's really exciting news. I've had the opportunity to fly this map in part of its development, and I'm really looking forward to the work that Orbx has been doing here and seeing this map released into the game. I think you're going to enjoy it. It's a really cool map. It's got shades a little bit of the Caucasus, because it's in the Northern Hemisphere, and also a little bit, reminiscent of EF 2000, for those of you who remember that game many, many years ago. Obviously it incorporates that region, if you like. And again, shades a little bit of South Atlantic too, with all the mountains and hills and the rugged terrain and rivers and things running through these really cool features. So again, it's going to be fun for jets, it's going to be fun for helicopters, and I think there's a huge scope for conflicts in this area. So stay tuned, like I said, for more on that development. Now, while we're sticking with RAZBAM as well, in terms of discussion points, Ron Zambrono, the head honcho of RAZBAM, dropped a shot of the Mig23, which his team has been working on. And this has been in development for quite a long time. That aircraft, I think, will be highly popular as a Red 4 asset for fans looking for a full fidelity, flyable adversary. It's a gap in the marketplace that, unfortunately, ED really don't have the ability to plug at this juncture. The community regularly barks for a full fidelity Su-27 and also later variants of that aircraft, as well as the MiG-29 as another Red 4 more modern jet. But open source data on these aircraft appears to be limited at best, restricted more likely, and possibly even cause some legal rights issues, sadly. So I don't think we're going to see these aircraft in the game anytime soon, if at all. So we're just going to have to accept the fact that we're going to have these non-full fidelity aircraft. So again, I think this makes a MiG-23 option an attractive one for fans of the aircraft. And as I said before, those looking for some Red 4 flying options beyond the current crop of early jets, like the MiG-15 and the 19, and hopefully soon the MiG-17, which is being done by Red Star Simulations. This is going to be a big bonus for those looking to branch out from the non-full fidelity options, like I said, which exist in the Su-27 and the MiG-29. Sadly, we just don't have the option right now, I don't think, to turn those into full fidelity ones. So, cool. We'll look forward to this, and Ron Zambrono is hinting that we may see this in 2024. We shall see. Now, we're rounding out the year of the Strike Eagle, and a pretty productive one for both Eagle Dynamics and all the third-party developers, from map makers to module makers. I'm going to leave you with some images here from some of those teams, including RAZBAM and Mag23 and others. And we'll be doing some flyovers here of the Sth Atlantic map. So enjoy. Thanks for tuning in and staying with me while I revamp the office. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment in the comment section below. It helps the channel's recognition in the YouTube algorithms. We'll do a Strike Eagle giveaway here towards the end of the year, so look for a year in review video I have planned before the end of this year, where we cover all of some of the big things that have happened this year. And we'll see you next time on the DCS SITREP. Cheers.